I usually do this earlier in the year, but I fell behind. This is part 1 of my top 100 coasters that I've ridden, from numbers 100 to 51. As usual, this will be based on my own personal preferences and experiences with these rides, which will be different for everyone. A great ride might not be as high as it could be for me if long lines are always unavoidable, or if I just had bad luck on my visits. Other rides can get a boost if I've gotten short lines, ERT sessions, and been able to ride it with friends and family. In regards to my preferences, I do like airtime, unless it's painful airtime, but I like everything that coasters have to offer, so variety in a layout can give a ride a boost. At the start of 2026, I had ridden 782 different coasters, and I've enjoyed almost all of them. So there are plenty of coasters that I love that won't even make my top 100. Here are some that barely missed the cut. I did some rethinking of certain rides upon my return to some parks last year, including dropping a couple in California out of my top 100. I have only been to parks in the United States and Canada's Wonderland, and here are the notable rides that I have not ridden, so none of these will make the list, including Stardust Racers. Here are the manufacturers that will be represented here. B&M has a stronger showing here than in my top 50, where RMC and Intamin will dominate. Wood coasters are well represented compared to my overall percentage. These are the states that are represented. The halves are because clones will only take up one spot. And here is a breakdown by park chain, factoring in the new Enchanted Parks and Herschend purchases. Six Flags and the Legacy Six Flags Cedar Fair split has removed any Enchanted Parks coasters. Let's get the list started with number 100, which is Wolverine Wildcat, the Dinwoody at Enchanted Michigan's Adventure. A long ride with great airtime, a lakeside setting, and most of it rides very smooth. 99 is Dragon Slayer, the S&S Free Spin at Adventureland in Iowa. I'm usually lukewarm on these free spins, but this one is so much better and crazier than the others. It flips much easier, which actually makes it a more comfortable ride. 98 is Hagrid, the Intamin Family Multi-Launch Coaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure. A very long ride with great theming, but overall it is forceless. 97 is Big Bear Mountain, the Vekoma Multi-Launch at Dollywood. My favorite family coaster, and it does have airtime, even if it isn't the strongest. It is a smooth, long ride with onboard audio and great pacing. 96 is Titan, the Giovanola Hyper at Six Flags Over Texas. It has great speed, intense helixes, and is perfectly smooth, but it only makes my list because of my long history with it. 95 is Shivering Timbers, the CCI Woody at Enchanted Michigan's Adventure. My 2023 rides were very rough, otherwise it would rank much higher because the floater airtime is excellent. 94 is Grizzly, the PTC Woody at King's Dominion. A long ride with a nice wooded setting and great airtime, and the recent Gravity Group track work has done wonders for this ride. 93 is Xcelerator, the Intamin Hydraulic Launch Coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. Getting back on this last year reminded me how awesome and intense this ride is, and I realized how much I underrated it and how it is so much better than Ghost Rider. 92 is Skyrocket, the premier launch coaster at Kennywood. It may have a weak finish, but I don't care about that when the strong launch, airtime, and hang time all deliver. 91 is Apollo's Chariot, the B&M Hyper at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, which does have weaker airtime than the others, but it is a smooth ride with a great setting. 90 is Raging Bull, the B&M Hyper at Six Flags Great America. The dud elements prevent this from getting higher on my list, but the first drop gives great ejector airtime in the back row, and there are other great floater airtime moments. 89 is X-Flight, the B&M Wing Coaster at Six Flags Great America. It is a bit shaky, but it has a great layout with the best near-miss elements, and I'm a huge fan of these B&M Wing Coasters. 88 is Wild Eagle, the B&M Wing Coaster at Dollywood. Not as strong of a layout, but it has a spectacular setting and is a smoother ride. 87 is Joker's Jinx, the premier launch coaster formerly at Six Flags America. I'm a huge fan of these, and the outdoor versions are much better than the indoor versions, with a faster launch, no mid-course, and being able to see all the head choppers. 86 is Renegade, the GCI Woody at Enchanted Valley Fair, with an interesting layout and solid airtime, but the roughness holds it down. 85 is the RMC Raptor prototypes, Railblazer at California's Great America, and Wonder Woman at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. These have great pacing and strong airtime, but they are short and can be uncomfortable, but the new trains on Wonder Woman have helped. 84 is Stunt Pilot, the RMC Raptor at Silverwood, a new credit for me this year. I give this the edge over the prototypes as it had stronger airtime, felt smoother, and it never had much of a line on my weekday visit. 83 is Goliath, the B&M Hyper at Six Flags Over Georgia. The roughness keeps it from getting higher, but it has a great layout, no mid-course, an intense helix, and great airtime. 82 is Rampage, the CCI Woody at Alabama Adventure. It was an intense ride with a great layout, filled with floater and ejector airtime and laterals, plus a great setting against the hillside. But I'm worried for its future as it hasn't operated in a while. 81 is Twister at Knoebels, easily my favorite in the park. It is a very interesting layout with great airtime and sustained laterals. 80 is Diamondback, the B&M Hyper at Kings Island, with great sustained floater airtime, and my more recent rides have been fairly smooth. 79 is Thunderstriker, the B&M Hyper at Carowinds. I found the floater airtime to be a little bit better than Diamondback's on last year's visit to each park, and the trims don't bother me at all. 78 is Cornball Express at Indiana Beach, my favorite CCI Woody. It has a very quirky layout, wrapping around other rides, and it has great airtime and laterals. I recommend row 2 or the very back. 77 is SheiKra, the B&M dive coaster at Busch Gardens Tampa. The old restraints work with this one because of the simple layout, and the 2 drops deliver incredible airtime. 76 is Griffin, the B&M dive coaster at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. It took a while, but I finally like this more than SheiKra. The drops give the same airtime, but it has an even better setting. I don't know why I had always ranked this so much lower than the other dive coasters, but I'm now a believer. 75 is Valravn, the B&M dive coaster at Cedar Point. This has more variety in the layout, and the vest restraints prevent any headbanging, and it gives you a beautiful view from the top. 74 is Dr. Diabolical's Cliffhanger, the B&M dive coaster at Six Flags Fiesta Texas. The steeper drop gives even better airtime, and it has a great layout, but those edge seats can have a rattle. 73 is Banshee, the B&M invert at Kings Island. The awesome vest restraints prevent any headbanging, and this is probably the best layout of any invert with its long ride and no mid-course. The rattle is what keeps it from getting higher. 72 is Hang Time, the Gerstlauer Infinity Coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. Easily my favorite coaster at the park. A longer ride could get it even higher on my list, but it has a solid layout with a couple great airtime moments and inversions, and it is very smooth. 71 is Yukon Striker at Canada's Wonderland, my current favorite B&M dive coaster, with that massive drop into the underwater tunnel, followed by a great layout, and it rides perfectly smooth. 70 is Leviathan, the B&M Giga at Canada's Wonderland. This is also perfectly smooth, with great sustained speed and some airtime. It has been 7 years since I have ridden this, and I think it could move up 15 to 20 spots if I ever get back on it. 69 is Nitro, the B&M Hyper at Six Flags Great Adventure. A long, smooth ride traveling deep into the woods, and it has perfect floater airtime and a forceful helix. I'm very tempted to move this ahead of what is next, which is Candemonium at Hershey Park, my second favorite B&M Hyper. It is not as long of a ride, but it has a great layout with airtime and visuals around the Kisses Fountain. Number 67 is Mamba, the Morgan Hyper at Enchanted Worlds of Fun. Since a mid-course now barely hits, those final bunny hills give the most insane airtime in addition to a solid first half. I recommend the very back row. Next up are 4 GCI wood coasters that are all very close, all with great pacing and rapid-fire elements. 66 is Texas Stingray at SeaWorld San Antonio, with a straight drop, great airtime, and a couple head choppers. 65 is Kentucky Rumbler at Beach Bend, with maybe the best layout of them all, and it delivered great airtime and was not rough on my visit. 64 is Mystic Timbers at Kings Island, one of the smoothest woodies anywhere. The simple pathway it follows holds it down on my list, but the fun factor and airtime deliver. 63 is Gold Striker at California's Great America, with an interesting layout even if it is lacking in airtime quantity. My return visit last year confirmed to me how great this is. 62 is Full Throttle, the premier launch coaster at Six Flags Magic Mountain, which is not a short ride. It has a strong launch, a massive loop providing my favorite hang time moment, and an incredible upside-down view of the mountains. And there is a surprise later. 61 is Viper, the Aero Mega Looper at Six Flags Magic Mountain. My return visit last year confirmed how much I love this. A very intense first half, giving me my only lifetime blackout, and great hang time in the second half. 60 is Batwing, the defunct Vekoma Flyer, formerly at Six Flags America. It had such a great layout, and it was very intense and perfectly smooth. It will be greatly missed. 59 is Circuit Breaker, the Vekoma Tilt Coaster at Codaland, a new credit this year. The tilt gimmick is a great one, then a complete layout follows with great floater, ejector, and off-axis airtime, plus great hang time. It is not very intense, but so much fun. 58 is Cheetah Hunt, the Intamin multi-launch at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Another one that is not intense but so much fun, with great airtime, especially rising up the tower in the front row, and hang time in the inversion. 57 is the iconic Beast at Kings Island, the longest wood coaster in the world. The trims, straight track, and no airtime doesn't matter with this one because this is all about traveling deep into the woods, which is made even better by the night ride. 56 is Vortex, the defunct Aero Looper from Kings Island. My memories of riding this with other Vortex fans in its final days will always stick with me, and that will cause me to always overrate it. In the back car, it gave great airtime and rode very smooth, and the inversions were either forceful or gave hang time. 55 is Fahrenheit, the Intamin at Hershey Park, with an incredible beyond vertical drop, ejector airtime, and great inversions. 54 is Skyrush, the Intamin Hyper, also at Hershey Park. I prefer the old restraints, as leg crushing has never bothered me, and the trains were more open, making the airtime feel stronger and more intense. The new restraints are more uncomfortable to me, and it exposed the weaknesses in the layout. However, it still delivers some intensity and strong airtime. 53 is New Texas Giant, the RMC hybrid at Six Flags Over Texas. The prototype RMC could have been better if it were not the first, but it still has a few great airtime moments and is a very long ride. 52 is Lightning Run, the Chance Hyper GTX at Kentucky Kingdom, a small-scale coaster with very strong airtime and rapid-fire elements. And number 51 is Thunderhead, the GCI Woody at Dollywood, and I believe this to be the current best GCI in the country, with its great airtime, interesting layout, rapid-fire elements, and a great night ride. So that's it for part 1 of my top 100 list. Here are the parks that were represented here. My next video will count down my favorite 50 coasters. As usual, I don't expect anyone to have the same list as me, nor would I want that. Our unique perspectives and experiences are what makes these lists interesting. I don't want us to just copy and paste what other people have with changing a couple things around so that the teacher doesn't know that we're cheating. That is not interesting. The more that I see that kind of thing going on, the more that I do the opposite. Just ranking coasters based only on how I feel about them, regardless of what popular opinion says. And I encourage all of you to do the same. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.